reason. I don't know why. They've always kind of had an info.
He claims there's a reason. It has to do with investigating a public works person, but
Yes.
It's not my time.
I am set.
Good job. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the East Amwell Township Committee to order.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee has been provided by a notice sent to the official newspapers of the Township, posted to the Township website, posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, and filed with the Township Clerk as required by law on January 2nd, 2024. Ms. Casper Bloom?
Here.
Ms. Enton?
Here.
Mr. Nardi?
Here.
Mr. Dendis?
Here.
Mayor DePiero?
Here. Will everyone stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have some first responders here and a member of our rescue squad, so I'd like to jump in the agenda to put them on first. This is otherwise item 8, or the first item in 8 on the agenda. I'm not sure if folks are aware, but there was an incident, an emergency on Ridge Road recently, and there was terrific response from our first responders. As you know, we have our own rescue squad. We have assistance from partners in Hopewell and Flemington and Lambertville, and the individuals who are invited here today personally were on the scene and essentially saved a life, and we're much appreciative. So we have a proclamation for them to commend them in appreciation for their service. Let me read that to everyone briefly, and we have one for each of you as well. But whereas every day across our country, paramedics and emergency, let me say this in the mic so folks in the public can hear it. Every day across our country, paramedics, emergency medical technicians, 911 dispatchers, and other first responders rush to fellow Americans' aid with compassion and life-saving strength. Whereas on March 5th, the Hopewell Fire Department and EMU was alerted into East Amwell Township to assist the Amwell Valley Ambulance Corps for a resident in respiratory distress on Ridge Road near the border with Hopewell Township. Whereas 4 members of the Hopewell Fire Department EMS crew found the resident barely breathing, and whereas within 1 minute of arriving, the patient was in cardiac arrest. Whereas through aggressive CPR, airway management, and ALS assistance from the Lambertville-based HMC paramedics, the patient's heart restarted and the patient became conscious. Whereas the support received by the New Jersey State Police, Capitol Health, Hopewell was extremely beneficial to the patient and the safety of the crew and monitoring public. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Township Committee of the Township of East Amwell would like to thank and recognize all volunteers who gave selflessly of themselves for the welfare of others, and acknowledge the following dedicated volunteers responsible for saving the life of an East Amwell Township residents. From Hopewell Fire Department and EMU, Ms. Ashley Kasav, EMT, Mr. Angelo Leviza, EMT in training, Mr. Jason Reed, EMS Chief, Mr. Sean Ryan, Squad Engineer, Mr. Andrew Lloyd, Squad Engineer. From the from the New Jersey State Police in Kingwood, Trooper Tyle Coe. HMC Paramedics Lambertville, Mr. Peck, MICP, and Mr. Vasquez, MICP. It is proclaimed this 14th day of March, 2024. Thank you all. Linda has proclamations to pass out.
Mr. Mayor, would it be okay to say
Absolutely,
a few words
please do.
to the council? Thank you. My name is Jason Reed. I'm a neighbor on Rileyville Road. I'm a almost lifelong resident of the township. I moved away for about a decade, and it's great to be back. I moved back here in 2021 at the end of the year, and it's an honor to be back, and it's an honor to hear this. The verbiage here is excellent, and I know that it's going to be really well received. by our department and our commissioners and our families, most importantly, and hopefully the family of the resident that we assisted. So volunteerism is a really difficult model right now, and I wanted to thank my crew that is here. More than 50% of the crew were East Amwell residents, and they did a fantastic job. The key to saving a life, I've been doing this for 32 years, the key to saving a life is early defibrillation, early 911, early CPR, and everything came together on this call. And it highlights the fact that station to scene proximity, and I've talked about this with Deputy Mayor Dendis, station to scene proximity is critical in the 911 system. So we have a wonderful relationship with the Amwell squad. We are in constant contact with their leadership, to include Andrew, the gentleman behind me, the president of the squad. He's working in earnest to rebuild a great institution. But it's important for the committee to know that we're here to help in any way that we can. We have a great team. We've recruited 37 volunteers in the past 12 months. I've never seen anything like it. It's been a watershed where we're trying to reverse the model, reverse the downward trend in the spirit of volunteerism. And that manifests into lives saved, simply put. So this is not in the abstract. And so we were, Sean Ryan, a combat military veteran, was driving our ambulance that night. He and Ashley responded assertively but safely. They were there in under 5 minutes. Mr. Levisa is a neighbor of mine. He's in EMT class tonight. He couldn't be here. He's also a joint member on the Amwell squad. He's a wonderful guy, great neighbor. He and I were on scene quickly, and this patient decompensated extremely quickly. I've never had someone come out of a situation like what happened. I think I've been on about 100 cardiac arrest calls in 32 years, but it was extraordinary to see him become awake and be able to communicate. It's diminished, but it was incredible. And the hospital staff at Capitol Health in Hopewell, it's a world-class facility. The paramedics out of Lambertville that are Huntington Medical Center based, they were great. I was hoping that they were going to be here tonight. Mr. Peck is on duty. We had a call with him earlier today. And MICP, just for your lexicon, that acronym is Mobile Intensive Care Paramedic. So it's an advanced level of care. So just to reiterate, we're here to support the township to the extent that it's appropriate. The chairman of our fire commissioner board, Sky Morehouse, has a strong rapport with the deputy mayor, and so whatever we can do to try to figure out the best way forward, always with the families that elect you in mind. And so we're very fortunate to work so closely with the Lambertville squad and the Amwell squad, and I think one of the reasons why we've been successful in generating 37 new folks is because of the service learning environment that we create. And we strive for excellence always in everything we do. Do we come up short? Yes. Do we make mistakes? All the time, every day. But we learn, we grow, we have fun. The one woman behind me, Amber, she's one of my lieutenants. She came here to support us tonight. She's a busy mom. She's a veteran. She's a busy mom of 2 young girls. She told me her happy place is at the fire station. Her husband's deployed to Syria. He's in the military. So we truly have a cross-section of the region, not just East Amwell and Hopewell, but a broader reach of people who are driven to be involved in service, people who are highly competent at what they do. But again, we make mistakes, we create a learning environment, we have fun, the esprit de corps is very strong, and that's what I, working with Andrew and Paul, the chief of the squad here, and Mike G., who's a wonderful public servant, we're all in this together, so don't think that you're on the raft alone making a decision that's unilateral and will upend the emergency services. We're available anytime to talk, to strategize, to socialize, and we're grateful to have your support in this proclamation. Just a couple of quick data points. We have 6 EMT candidates currently right now. We have 2 additional members who are trying to get their EMT back. So we have 8 people that are in the queue as part of that 37 group. We have Princeton Medical Center's Penn Princeton. We have their chief hospitalist, Dr. Lauren Hogshire, who was just elected to the medical executive board. So she's basically number 3 or 4 at the hospital. She has 80 people that report to her, residents, attendings, and the position she was just elected for is elected by not just physicians but also nurses. And she's been an incredible asset. She and her stepson volunteer with us. That's the kind of family that we're trying to create. And let's see what else. I think that's it. Do you have any questions?
No, I'll just add that Jason's been very helpful. Jason's been meeting with us and Flemington, Lambertville, Amwell Valley, and it's been productive. So we appreciate it, and we say thank you for that. And I've also known him about 25 years.
I was very young.
So was I.
And vice versa.
So was I.
Yes.
Anyone else have a comment or question?
Fantastic job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're here. If you ever, again,
Thank you very much.
Strategizing. It's really important that there are a few different solutions with the challenges that you're confronted with, but all of them will help the residents, and that's the key piece. That's what drives us. That's what drives my conversations with Andrew and Paul and our unit that gets together
Right.
to quarterly and to solve
It's
problems.
been helpful. It's been productive, and we're looking forward to the next steps.
Yes.
So thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thanks very much.
Thank you,
folks.
everyone.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much.
Yeah, looking out for our community is so important, so thank you to everyone. Appreciate you
So
coming.
the only thing I'm confused on, I thought your name was Ethan, not Andrew.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, no, I just didn't know if there was somebody else involved. But
his
some
middle
people have
name.
nicknames. They go, they have a given name and they go by a middle name or something. So. But we're talking about the same person, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
that's fine. That's fine. Thanks.
So, Ethan,
I
why don't
didn't
you-
mean to put you on the spot with
thank
that.
you,
I just
everyone.
wanted to make
Appreciate
sure.
you coming. You're welcome
Thank
to
you,
stay, but
everyone.
please, you can go.
I
Ethan,
know
you ready to come up?
And I'm like, why is he giving me Ethan if it's Andrew? We'll talk about that later.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Ethan, you want to come up? Ethan's from our Amwell Valley Rescue Squad. He has a quick update while we're on this subject, and then we'll go back to the agenda.
Thank you, Andrew, for coming, by the way.
I figured out a nickname for you now.
I have plenty.
All right, just a quick update from us. We answered 12 calls, including mutual aid calls, and staffed our committed 36 hours successfully. As an announcement, we're going to be doing a Mother's Day flower sale fundraiser at the Amwell Valley Firehouse on May 11th and 12th. We will be accepting credit cards, but cash and checks will be preferred due to the credit card processing fees, and the proceeds will be shared with the firehouse.
Okay.
As all of you know, our goal is to continue to provide 100% free service to our community, and to do this, we are 100% volunteer and funded solely from donations by individuals and businesses, along with the township as well. But we also need members and donations to make that happen. And as I said at last meeting, we are clearing 1 EMT in our protocols and have 2 in school to get their EMTs. But we will need more to meet our ultimate goal of 24/7 staffed coverage. With that being said, I invite anyone interested in our community to join as an EMT, a support member to drive, as an auxiliary member to help with fundraising and tasks outside of going on an ambulance. Or for the 15 to 17-year-olds in our community, we also have a cadet program which can provide key experiences for those who want or are thinking about going into the field of medicine. And we provide all of the training required. The application for joining is on our website at avac48.org. Currently, the calls received outside the 36-hour window are being dispatched to us and either Flemington Raritan First Aid and Rescue or Larenville New Hope Ambulance and Rescue Squad, with some mutual aid from Hopewell Fire and EMU. In February, we met with Flemington and Larenville as our in-county partners to discuss in-progress plans. The action items from that meeting were for Larenville and Flemington to come back with a dollar amount on how much it would cost per hour to answer calls in our territory outside of our 36-hour window, both responding from their stations and putting one of their ambulances with staff at our station here at Ringo's. To be clear, having the other agencies come in to answer calls does not mean that we have given up. We are doing this to make sure that when someone calls 911, that they have an ambulance responding in the least possible amount of time as we work towards adding members to our organization to provide this essential emergency service. On the topic of donations, we had one donation deposit for February of $335. So we are currently behind in our donation goals and appreciate any support from our community so that we can continue. There are multiple ways to support us through the participation in our fundraisers, clothing drives, Amazon wish lists, and gift cards that individuals can purchase from their everyday spending. All can be found on our website at avac48.org under the donations page. And if anyone in the community has any questions, they can feel free to email me at president@avac48.org. Is there any questions you guys have for me?
Just Linda, quickly, you think we could support their flower drive on our website? Is that something we can
Of
do?
course, yeah.
Okay.
Want to send me the information, or
You got
I don't
it.
know if you have a flyer or anything.
Yeah, we're
Any-
currently making the flyers
Okay,
send out.
yeah, just email it to me.
Yeah.
I don't have a card on me.
So I met with Ethan at this meeting. I'm also going to try to recruit another committee member because John Mills was my partner in this, and I think it's best that two of us are there. So if there's volunteers, or if anybody's going to be voluntold by the mayor, that's fine too. And I would encourage I think I mentioned at our meeting, I encourage the members that are less in the leadership roles, because there's no idea too dumb to talk about, right? So,
No, absolutely.
so let's see if we can bring some of the members in, and more ideas the better on a pathway forward.
Absolutely.
So we can talk about it. I think that as that table grows, maybe the ideas grow and solutions grow.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, but we've stabilized the situation with the 36 hours, and our partners came back and said, okay, what's next steps? And that was expected. So it looks like when we meet again, May-ish sometime,
Yeah.
we might have some longer term solutions, pathways forward that would be more satisfactory to our partners, because they do have some concerns. And I've reached out, by the way, to the Lambertville mayor and the Flemington mayor, or Raritan mayor, I should say, to tell them that, look, there's conversations. We are relying on your rescue squad more than we probably should. It turns out in Lambertville, the taxpayers don't give that squad any money. It's all self-funded. I didn't know that. I thought they did. Raritan's a different story. They do give considerable, so that they're probably ultimately looking for a better solution. And I think we're working towards that, whatever that's going to look like. And I think after a year of meeting, we have the people at the table that recognize the issues and are being honest. And I think there's some trust that got built over a year. And I think that we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
What that's going to look like, we'll figure it out. But right now we're stable. We have partners responding. We had a success story that we just talked about tonight with our partners, and I'm sure there's dozens of these stories that you guys could have brought forward that just we never got recognized because we don't know about them. But it's helpful. If you have a success story, bring it forward to one of us, and we'll certainly recognize it, because a lot of this stuff we wouldn't know. Jason brought it to my attention. I have a relationship with Jason. He said, hey, do you think the committee would do something like that? I said, I'll bring it to the mayor, and he was more than happy to recognize. And I think it's a good thing for the volunteers, the professionals, everybody. I think it's a good thing. So I was happy that we could do that for sure.
Yeah, we definitely will if we have a call that comes up in the future. Typically, we just kind of...
People aren't looking for praise,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I get it, but sometimes a little bit of praise is good for you.
And to bring a sense of community, and people also might, fall in line and give you some donations as well. It's a very positive thing, so.
It looked like some of the younger folks, or maybe their parents came. I think it's a proud moment for a family too. And it may be nothing to the professionals. I understand that, but to the families it means something. The family of the gentleman that got saved, it means something. So
No, absolutely.
sometimes we do this recognition more for the families than the actual actors. But I think it's a good moment for them. So if when that happens in East Amwell, which I'm sure it has many times, just bring it to our attention, and we'll be happy to have that crew up here too.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Ethan, thanks for your work with the squad and how you're trying to bring things up. Appreciate that, and thanks for the update today.
Of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
And Mike, thank you for all the work you're doing with the rescue squad and trying to.
Thank you for
Try to
reading that
protect
part.
residents.
I was afraid I was gonna have to read that proclamation, so thank you for doing that. I was like, don't give it to me.
That was good.
I don't do well with that ceremonial
Well,
stuff. I get
but you did a
too,
great job preparing. so
I get
thank you.
emotional with ceremony stuff,
Yeah,
so
we
that's
should-
not my thing.
We should refer these guys up to the 200 club too.
Yeah, I can talk to
100
Jason,
and
yeah.
200
Yeah. They're always looking for a story, yeah, they are.
Give them, give them some type of award.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's move
yeah.
on, announcements, so, folks can read through them, but just to mention a couple, don't forget, dog licenses, act now so that you don't have to pay a late fee.
No, it's already late.
It's already late now, all right, well, you get in there, avoid an extra late fee. Parks and Recreation's gonna have, annual Easter egg hunt, so, check the schedule on the website for that. Hunterdon County is having a hazardous waste collection day coming up on March 23rd. It's a great thing to go to if you've got electronic waste. A couple notes about political primary election. Municipal offices are closed March 29th in observance of Good Friday. Another political affiliation date, the 10th of April, and also information we have for you on water testing, well testing that is. Check the website. Linda's been doing a great job, I think, of keeping our residents informed of what's going on, making things as available as possible, so please take advantage of that if you can. Without an objection, open to the public. Any members of the public wish to speak? I know a couple of you are going to be on to help us later. Yes, Francis?
Francis Gavin, Miss Damwell, older than God. I've gotten a few calls from people asking about the meetings for the budget and how we're getting it. I talked to Dante yesterday and he very kindly explained what you've been waiting for. But even if there's any kind of a working thing where people can watch it or to see what's happening, that would help, because Central got cut by the state on their funding, everybody's getting cut and expenses are going up. So I think it's gonna be hard for taxpayers and municipalities to balance their budget. And so if you can engage with the public, then we can be part of the solution, not just, why didn't you let me know? You know, and you're doing a good job. Mayor was here and doing stuff and that kind of thing. That's it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Fran-
Thank you.
Francis did suggest that I include an item, which I will later on the agenda, about where we are in the budget process and public hearing information. So yes, we will be getting to that. Thanks for that suggestion. So on approval of the minutes, so instead of me asking for a motion to approve, I wanted to make a point to the Township Committee that I think we could use a little more specificity in a couple places in the minutes. I think it would be helpful to residents. You know, one example was where I think there was something that said, you know, Mike Dennis had explained why recycling day had to be canceled. And I think, you know, it's good that it says that we had that discussion, but it really doesn't tell the public that piece of information in case they didn't attend the meeting or listen to it. So, you know, we might say, Mike Dennis explained that recycling day was canceled because the carting company forgot to deliver the roll-off boxes or something. And that way, I think it'll give just a little more information to residents. And, you know, another example was when Francis had, you know, asked for some more information about where we were with our new zoning officer. It just said, you know, Ms. Gavigan asked for information. And I think it might be helpful to say she asked for information and the Township Committee then gave it to her, because I want to make sure that our Township Committee is responsive in providing information as much as possible when residents have it, and also that folks can understand what's happening even if their only source of information is checking the minutes. So unless folks disagree, I thought maybe we'd hold the minutes approval till next time. We'll just add a couple particulars in there. And I think going forward, just trying to have a short little blurb that provides information. And I mentioned to Linda, This is no criticism at all, I think she does great minutes, but I just want to make sure that we have something that most benefits the residents. Well, what do folks think?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I probably encourage Linda not to, because I turn the drone on. I tell her when I'm talking, just cut me off in the
I think
minutes.
everybody should know that if there's an issue with the minutes, or you have something you think you want in the minutes, if it's something you want to add, there's no harm in asking Linda to include that. So it's, I know they've been kind of bare bones, but if there's anything,
Before the meeting or whatever, I can always change.
they
it.
can
Doesn't
always
have to
be amended, so the public record states what you want to have in there. So don't ever feel you can't reach out and say, I think this ought to be in the minutes.
Yeah, sometimes I see minutes and I think it's the opposite. Sometimes you need to scrub them a little
I
bit
know.
because it's too much. So it's
Well,
It's a balance.
it's a
fine
balancing
line
act
between
when
a
you're doing
stenographic
the.
record and
Yeah.
a summary of what
Yeah.
Yeah.
is going on, but.
I think we can find the balance, and I appreciate all the comments, 'cause I think those are right, and I think if we try that process, I think it'll be rewarding, and again, I think the touchstone is, we're making sure that everything is transparent so that residents can understand what's happening, because residents need to know what's happening, we need their ideas, we need their buy-in, we need the conversation, so I appreciate that. We'll,
Did you want to
can I
approve
just-
the February 10th minutes, or are they both? Because that was the appointment of the engineer. Or did you want to just
I saw
carry
a
both?
regular one and a
It was
special
the
one.
regular was the regular meeting, and then we had the special meeting for the township engineer.
That was on a Saturday.
Yeah, I didn't realize we were approving, did you want us to approve that as well? We
Well,
could,
that's what I'm saying. Did you want to approve those and hold the February 8th meeting, or did you want to just hold them both and we'll do them next month?
are you proposing that we adopt the executive
Approve the-
session minutes?
The special meeting minutes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. If folks okay with that, Jenna?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate what you're saying about making the minutes more, nuanced. But for these, could we, if we don't approve them now, I know this is breaking what we normally do, but could we post a draft copy so people aren't waiting until March to see what happened, or until April to see what happened in February? I know just for this one until we.
I mean, the other option, which I thought of, is, we could take a break after we're done with the other matters and go over for a few minutes and then do it today. I don't think there's that much, but I do think it's important enough that we approve something that's just a little bit meatier in a couple places.
No.
Do we want to do that, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine waiting to approve it if we would just kind of throw the draft on right now of the minutes that are up there.
I have no problem with that either.
Okay, yeah, let's do.
I don't think they post drafts, though.
Yeah,
I know
mean,
we don't
generally
normally,
we
but-
don't.
Okay.
I mean, the advantage you were
can
trying to get, Jenna,
fix
was just.
Immediate information to the
Can we just
public if
amend
they
them
want it.
now? Or
You can
have
always
too
amend
much-
them, they're always
I
subject
mean, like,
to
and then
amendment.
vote on them?
You can,
Well,
you can
well,
adopt these and adopt an
we'll just-
amended
just
version
carry it.
next meeting, so there's
Yeah,
no,
I don't think
there's
it'll
no
take
harm.
that long. That's why I was saying, we could do it if we spent 20 minutes at the end
or
of
you
this
could
meeting.
kick it all to the next meeting, but we don't typically post
Right.
drafts, because a draft is a draft, and we don't wanna put anything out there that's
Confusing.
not approved by the committee.
Then let's carry the approval till, the March meeting. I mean, people have the video too if they need to watch
They'd have the
immediately, so
video.
that's fine.
Yep.
So yeah, let's just do that then.
Okay, folks.
I'm okay with that.
Okay,
I'll
so,
agree.
so we'll hold that, and I think the suggestion's right. We'll get a draft early, and everybody just, pipe in with your suggestions so that when we get to this meeting, we'll have something that folks have at least looked over, and I think that's a good idea. Okay,
Do we want to do the 10th? The meeting minutes for the 10th? That was just the appointment of the engineer.
well,
Or do you want to?
but it's in effect, right? I mean, so it's,
That's all.
so there's nothing, it's not like the appointment of the engineer is not in effect because we didn't approve the minutes.
No, we had to have minutes from that special meeting, and they're probably just
It's just.
one blurb that we
Yeah.
approved the engineer, so that's,
So we can approve.
So I guess my legal question is, do you think we need to do that? The special meeting, because that would affect the viability of the
no, it
engineer?
doesn't affect the viability of
I
the
don't think we should
appointment, it's just a matter of
Okay. All right, so
approving
then the
minutes
answer
for-
is we don't need to then, if, I thought you were saying we had to, okay? So we'll hold both,
Okay.
If-
That's fine.
okay, good. Okay, thank you for that discussion, I think that's helpful. I think, are we up to 8?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, So, special discussions, presentations, acknowledgement, we took care of the first responders already. So Gill's Tree Service, so there, we wanted to thank Gill's, they.
Giles.
I think you
Giles.
pronounce it
Giles,
Giles.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pronounced Giles.
Thank you, Giles Tree Service, for the work that they did. Apparently, the township had a need to deal with public safety because we have property on, I think it's Melissa Woods Road, where wind damage from the windstorm left trees kind of imperiling. So they came out and did work for us and charged us a reasonable rate to help the township, and so we appreciate that as a community service. So I want to recognize them for that. Rabies incident, so there was an incident, residents should know, on Ridge Road where a rabid raccoon was found. So just remember the general recommendations, stay away from animals acting strange, and you really should keep dogs and cats in and don't let them run wild, because if they run into a wild animal, that could have difficult consequences. Power outages, I wanted to read through a number of things that the Township Committee has worked on since the February 28th snowstorm. And some of this information I had Linda post on our news flash because the Township Committee thinks it's important that we do our best with power outages, because they're so they have such a great effect on residents. So during the February 28th, 2024 windstorm and power outages, I had a number of calls from residents who were inquiring about the status of outages and the estimated time that it would take for service to be restored by the utility. Personally, I offered assistance to elderly and medically compromised residents who are going to be impacted by the power outages. From this experience, the Township Committee is implementing a number of new measures. So first is notice of outages. I was in contact with the JCP&L representative during the outage after I learned of it when residents contacted me. I reached out to JCP&L to ask that the utility give notice whenever our residents lose power. But I was informed that the utility says it cannot give notice unless 500 residents have lost power.
500, did you say?
500.
Okay.
So which is a fairly high number. So I asked the utility for a lower threshold because, Township Committee is very concerned anytime that our residents are affected. I was informed by the utility that they were unable to accommodate my request. But I was able to work out some improvements so that residents will have the ability to get direct access to information on outages and estimated restoration times. In terms of information on outages and estimated restoration times, there are a couple possibilities. One, text message inquiries and alerts. JCP&L says they will now allow customers to send a text message to JCP&L to get information about outages and to find out about estimated restoration times. You can sign up with JCP&L and this will give you text message alerts. So we're going to have the information posted on our website. I don't know, Linda, did you work on that yet? I can't remember.
No, you weren't. You had us review it.
Okay.
And you didn't get
So
to-
Linda will be doing it. I know she and I talked preliminarily about how to do that. So she'll get information up there on a place where you could look for power outages to find out how to sign up for text messages. There's also a JCP&L web link now where you can get information on outages and restoration times. They'll allow customers to click on that link. It will go to the utility's website, and you'll be able to see the information. So in this way, even if the utility is not experiencing outage with 500 or more individuals, anybody who is impacted can go on and find out. And then the other way is, as we've been doing already, Linda's been putting up notices, flash notices on our website. So we're going to continue to do that as soon as we get it from the utility. But again, if the utility is not giving it to us, you'll have the ability in these two ways of getting your own information. I also spoke with Mike Dennis about OEM, and so involvement of OEM in power outages is going to be enhanced. So as an additional innovation, the township is going to involve OEM in power outages as they arrive. And this will bring our emergency management services to bear to residents, not just for, natural disaster type of relief, but also effects of outages. Availability of the municipal building is another measure. The township is going to make the township municipal building available for residents experiencing an outage so they can come in, use the bathrooms, water, charge phones, warm up, cool off, do any of those kind of things during office hours. We don't have, unfortunately, the resources to offer overnight stays or extended hours, but know that OEM already has a long-term plan in place with the county for extended emergencies and for residents with acute issues. So if you have those, you can contact our township OEM manager. And as always, residents can contact me or any other member of the township committee. Contact information for all of us is on the township website. And finally, on power outages, tree cutting and trimming program of the utility. So finally, I reached out to JCP&L to work on possible proactive measures to attempt to decrease the number of outages that we're having or the duration of the outages. And I asked JCP&L to provide information on the status of its tree cutting program, because they do have a program to trim trees that present a risk of falling on power lines. And this is really important because, as folks have mentioned, we've got the dead and dying ash tree problem in so much of our township. So JCP&L is involved in a program, but it's unclear to me how much of the township they've done and when the schedule is for the rest. And in particular, this is important because if it's in the Sarrowland Mountain area, we've got lots of trees next to lots of power lines. So JCP&L has promised to get back to me about that tree trimming program, and also in particular to deal with my request that they think about how to deal with the dying ash trees, because that presents a risk to residents. So these are a whole host of things that the Township Committee has come up with in order to try to deal with power outages, because it can be a very difficult thing for our residents. Again, especially, I have elderly person on my street, and it's critically important that we have protections in place for all of our residents. So I don't know if other folks want to mention it, but I appreciate the work of the committee to think about prospective things we can do.
So what I'll add on, if I may,
Please.
In trying to the OEM involvement, we're going to try to take a more forward-leaning posture with OEM than a stagnant posture. So you'll see later on in the minutes agenda, we're going to be appointing a second person, a deputy, that's going to help us take a more what I would call a forward-leaning posture when it comes to these events. So that should be a little bit helpful, I think.
No, I think it's great. We do have OEM, and I think instead of just reacting, have us think critically. I think, Mike, it's a great suggestion. Thanks for your work on that.
And also, too, if the town's not aware, besides the news flash going to email, it can go to text messages, too, as long as they sign up online, so that's really helpful, too.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you, Jenna. Excellent point. Okay, anyone else? Anything on?
You covered that one, thank you.
Okay, couple of other items just to keep our residents up to date. Budget schedule, Francis reminded me that folks are thinking about it. So be advised that the auditors have been working to close the books for us on 2023. We think that's pretty close. When that's done, then we'll be able to schedule an introduction of a budget and a public hearing. And when we have that out for folks, we'll be able to take public comment. So that's in process, but we have to wait for the closing of the books. A note on East Amwell Board of Education meeting conflict. So the East Amwell Board of Education rescheduled its board meeting in a way that conflicts with this meeting tonight. The Township Committee, you should know, did reach out to try to get the board to pick another date and time, but it was unsuccessful. And the reason we tried to do that is, we have long-standing meetings here on this schedule of the Township Committee, and education and our children are extremely important to the Township Committee, and so we didn't want folks, either residents or frankly several members of the Township Committee, to have to pick one or the other. the work of the township, and how we deal with the children, and education is so important. So we did try. So we wanted to make sure you knew what had happened in our efforts. I don't know if anyone has anything to add on that, or okay. Spring cleanup day. Last time we had decided, after a couple discussions, we were probably not having spring cleanup day this time. I was at a meeting of the Ringo's Village Advisory Committee yesterday, and I think 2 or 3 members there were saying, oh, they really wanted to have it. So I figured we'd give sort of one more shot to residents that, if you really depend on that this year, you have to let us know. So reach out to Linda Giliberti if you really want to have it, because having the day, as Mike explained in the last meeting, it's not inexpensive for the town, and we're very mindful of the cost to our residents. However, if folks have been storing up things and lots of folks need to do it, then let us know, because either we would reconsider and have it, or as Mike and Jenna have been working on, talking to other towns who are having a similar day and seeing whether we can buy into that program so that our residents could go to one of our neighbors. So one way or another, if you haven't seen us discussing this and you hear this now, please reach out and let Linda know if you want to have that service this year.
If I may, I've had some contact with Delaware Township. At the moment, they're not running a cleanup day either. They're introducing some new staff, and they're just, at the moment of my conversation a few weeks ago with the mayor or deputy mayor, it's not something they have on the schedule yet. One thing I would tell folks, though, is most garbage companies come and pick up your bulk trash for a fee, of course, which you pay a fee here. My recollection is the fee from the private garbage company wasn't that much more, and sometimes less than what we needed to charge here to get rid of some trash. So there are avenues out there. I understand that, and I think Linda may know more, or others may know more that've been around a while. The township loses money every year on the cleanup, and it's been that way for a period of time, I believe. So it's a balance. We want to provide a service, but how much should we lose on providing the service? That's a tough question for the committee. So at the moment, we kind of went off the recycling committee's recommendation of pausing it for this year and revisiting it next year, because they do realize the burden, the expense that it is for the township. And we're probably, without a calculator in front of me, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 we might be losing on it, which is, talking about budget, that's real money in East Amwell, so it's important. But that's what I have to add on that.
Yeah, just another comment on that. I think last year when we had it, or one of the times when we went, they also had a group that took, if something wasn't being trashed,
Right.
you could donate. And even with that, there's a gazillion services in the area that if you have something that's usable,
So
you can donate it.
What I can add to that too is the recycling committee is willing to, like, if we decide to do electronics cleanup day or something like that, that's free service. Like, doesn't cost us money. They'll be willing to do that. But Bev was right too. There's plenty of other free collection services for usable equipment. So the things are available, just maybe not through East Amwell Township. But I think that's good to bring up for sure.
Great. And anything else on that?
There's a lot of veteran groups that come to somebody's house and takes clothing,
Right.
There's
furniture,
there's a lot of
things like
avenues
that.
to get rid of
Yeah,
stuff for
absolutely.
sure for free.
Good points. So the final item I have for updates for the township, Rainbow Hill Preserve parking. So as folks will recall, some members of the North Hill Road have had concerns with the parking lot and traffic on that road, and so I've been encouraging NJCF to relocate the parking lot onto Wurtsville Road, because it seems a much more appropriate spot for traffic than the dead end road. NJCF has been working on that. In fact, they opened a parking lot there, but it turns out the location itself was too wet with all the rain we've been having. So they've adjusted and moved the location slightly, but it's still on Wurtsville Road. So I wanted to read, I just got a a message just this evening in terms of an update from NJCF, so I didn't get a chance to put it on the agenda, but let me read it so that folks have an update. So NJCF writes that the New Jersey Conservation Foundation recognizes that the parking area established off Wurtsville Road in December has not been adequate. The area simply was wetter than expected. While visitation has been fairly low during the winter months, we've been busy monitoring preserved visitation and looking for a better solution in advance of spring. NJCF will be opening a new parking lot location at the former Denton property with access from an established driveway off Wurtsville Road. A letter will go out to neighbors shortly announcing the change. NJCF will continue to monitor visitation closely and will make adjustments as needed. In addition, NJCF will be temporarily closing the parking lot on North Hill Road to the general public in order to habituate visitors to the new parking lot that's on Wurtsville Road. The North Hill lot will still be used by NJCF staff and perhaps on limited occasions for specific purposes with advance arrangement with NJCF. So they're working to get parking out of North Hill Road and have access through Wurtsville. So stay tuned to that, but I appreciate the Conservation's efforts to respond to the North Hill Road residents and their concerns about traffic. So folks, I think on the website at NJCF are going to be told the parking lot's on Wurtsville Road, go there. Folks are not going to be encouraged to go to the North Hill Road lot because that's going to be closed except for these extraordinary circumstances that they mentioned. So I think this is going the right direction and having appropriate access, but minimizing impacts on residents. I know Jenna was concerned about this. We've talked about it. Did you want to add anything, Jenna, or anybody?
No, I'm just very happy NJCF has worked with us to do this and everything. And I know you've put in a lot of hours and spoken to people, and I'm glad we were able to find hopefully a solution to this. Yeah.
I've taken quite a few calls from residents, emails. I knew you were working on it. I think you and I were both pushing on Tim at the same time and didn't realize it. You had given an update before he had even gotten back to me, so you must have been pushing harder. And I think the folks that have been reaching out to me would be happy to hear that it looks like it's going to get, this is what they think should happen. It's going to happen. You mentioned they're going to close North Hill, or?
So they're closing except for their own use, NJCF use, and as I understand it, perhaps if they've got some special event or something, but as I understand it, pretty much it's closed because they're not using that, but obviously internal access and the like. So I think this is achieving the goal of getting the parking for visitors down on Wurtsville Road.
And I feel they're good partners for East Amwell. They seem to be responsive and receptive to our residents' needs, and so it sounds like this worked out for the better. I think it's good.
Yeah, and I will say NJCF historically has been a very good partner to towns all over the state.
Sure.
They have a lot of properties that they acquire or manage for the use of the public, and us having a huge preserve in the Sarala Mountain is a terrific thing. So I'm very pleased that we were able, in our previous meeting here, to invite the residents in so they could state their concerns, to invite NJCF in. They brought a whole slew of folks, including their top echelon folks, to listen, and had a good dialogue. I think that is the way to deal with issues in the town, and I am pleased that the residents spoke out, and as Jenna said, that NJCF really has responded. So I'm sure there'll be an ongoing dialogue, as there is with any ongoing activity, but I think this is a great development, and I appreciate everyone's work on it, and thanks Mike and Jenna for the calls you guys have been taking and dealing with it as well. Anyone else have a thought or comment? Okay, so that was some long announcements, but again, I think it's really important to let the public know what's going on and what we're trying to do to help. Standing committee reports, do we need any motions on this, Linda? Or we just?
Do we need to confirm the appointments, or we just, I don't think so.
Have these appointments been made already?
Yes.
They're being made tonight.
So maybe I'll do it like this. So I'll read through the appointments that I've determined to make, and I'll ask the township committees for their consent to do it. So appointment of Maria Teresi as a planning board alternate. She has a good background, She was interviewed and is excited about being on the planning board. We have a need for additional people. Appointment of Casey Boccio, Parks and Recreation. I think, which folks spoke with her? Al? I don't know if you wanted to say anything.
Casey seems like a really good fit for Parks and Recs. She's attended the last 2 meetings, and I'm pleased, and I know, Natalie and Stephanie are, in her corner as well.
Excellent. Appointment of Mike Dennis. I've known him a long time. He's a good guy.
How's that working out for you?
He's been on the Board of Health, doing good work, and need to reappoint him to continue that good work. Appointment of Frances Gavigan, Agricultural Advisory Committee. She is a farmer. She's expressed an interest. We have a need to add. I think she'll do a good job, so I'm appointing her for a 1-year term. And finally, appointment of Mike Razankowski. This is as OEM Deputy Coordinator. That's what Mike Dennis was referencing earlier in the meeting. Mike's been selflessly volunteering on the Amwell Valley Rescue Squad for a long time and in other capacities. And I think it's great news that he's willing to step up and be a deputy coordinator. I think that'll enhance OEM in the way that Mike was saying. So I would like to appoint these folks to those positions, and I'd ask, do you want a motion, or how do you want to do it, Frank?
You do a motion.
Yeah, could I have a motion to confirm those?
So moved.
Okay, a second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I should abstain on my own vote, right?
Staying on your own is fine.
Or I might decline it.
Yeah.
But I'm staying
do-
on my own, Linda.
Do we need a roll call, Linda, or?
I'll do it just in case.
Okay, sure.
Ms. Casper Bloom?
Yes.
Ms.
I don't want
Enton?
to.
Yes.
Mr. Nardi?
Yes.
Mr. Dendis?
Yes.
Mayor DePiero?
Yes. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone, for that. I think these will be good additions. So we're up to item 10 on the agenda, ordinance 24-02, second reading.
An ordinance to amend the code of the Township of East Amwell, County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, Chapter 75 fees, specifically Section 75.1, to increase fees for summer playground.
Okay, Linda's given us the summary here. The proposal is an amendment to raise the fee for summer playground to cover an increase in salaries for summer playground directors. And I think we have Natalie here. Great. Natalie's going to join us to explain
Stephanie?
the
Yeah,
basis
I
of
asked
that.
the chair and the
Oh,
vice chair
Stephanie, too.
to
Excellent, Stephanie, please come up.
attend to explain it, because I'm not a very good salesperson, but they have great explanations, and
Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
thank you for showing.
First off, I just want to apologize. I wasn't here at the last meeting. I know Al had asked me to come, but with work, saving lives, so I wasn't able to. So I apologize. But yes, first and foremost, I am asking for the increase for the salary for the teachers. We did last year. We had 1 director and 5 assistants. This year it would be 1 director and just 4 assistants. And honestly, if we're unable to do it, which I would understand it's going to be really hard, because even with the preschool for the 5 weeks, they're charging $925. And I understand going from 100 to 150, it's a huge increase, but there's increases everywhere. The staff did agree that, they will do 4 hours, 8:30 to 12:30, but that doesn't mean that they're going to start at 8:30. That means that they would be starting at 8 because they need to set up. I know last year we've heard how it was so organized. I know the first year when my kid went, it wasn't because there were, not to discredit high school kids, but it's different when it's adults. So they were able to do different things. They said the same thing this year. They're going to add more activities. We're also going to be, with that cost too, they're going to be bringing in more snacks and more stuff for the kids. So I really, and even on our Parks and Recreation Committee, we have a teacher. He even said that he would not be working for $16. It's 25, and I understand. And even if we compare it to other summer programs like Delaware Township, they're charging $65 a day. Raritan Township, it's $300 for the month. Again, I know it's a huge increase going from 100 to 150, and I know everybody has different needs, but if you compare it to all the other playgrounds and the summer programs in the area, it's really still affordable. So.
And Stephanie, do you have something to add as well?
The half-day programs, even though they're full camps, you're looking at $300 for a 9 to 12 half-day camp anywhere around here. And I know it's a big jump, but they didn't increase it for so many years. So unfortunately, it's a lot of years of, increases. We increased it a little bit last year, but it's just a matter of we want to make sure that we have quality people watching the kids. There's no fence, there's nothing around the playground, so and like I said, $16 an hour for a teacher, they can go do tutoring for $60 an hour if they wanted to. So it is a big increase, and we understand that, and we definitely don't want to put anybody in a hardship, but it's for the entire month. It's not just a week for $150, it's an entire month.
And I think it's also good that there's teachers and faculty who actually know the kids, especially if any of the kids have like a medical history or if kids need EpiPen. I think it's really important that it is a staff than high school kids who they don't really interact with. So.
Yeah, I mean, previously, like you said, it was more glorified babysitting, and now it's, you know, teachers with these kids, and, you know, the kids that do have challenges, you know, they have teachers that already know their behaviors and things like that and how to make them successful.
So thank you, by the way, for coming. Last month when we brought up questions, it wasn't to push back on the money. At least I'll speak for myself. It was, we're going to get asked, right? Why it doubled basically in 2 years, and that's all I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
These guys know I support giving people higher wages.
Yeah.
And I have no problem supporting this. I send my kids there. It's, both of you guys mentioned, it is the bargain of the area for sure. It's a great program. It's great staff. We know them all. I wanted to be in a position because you guys know, people do know us. They do talk to us, and I wanted just to be able to answer. Like, I didn't want to not have that information to say, well, here's the reason why things are going up. We have licensed teachers. They're bringing in more programs. I don't think anybody's going to not come for $150.
Yeah, I agree. And if they do, please send them to me. That people have already been asking me. They're like, it's March. What's happening? And I've been telling them well, we want to increase it, but we need to bring it to the town and talk, just so I can kind of get feedback from them. And they're like, yeah, $150 is cheap. Pennington Day School, it's $300 a week. So, it is still affordable. Again, I know, the economy is not great. I don't know people's personal stuff, but it's still affordable.
I mean, another point too is it wasn't easy to hire the people that we had. So if they end up not coming back because the rate's too low, then we're at a position of not being able to hold the program at all if we can't get the staff.
Mm-hmm. And the preschool program will take the teachers for sure, and they are paying them more.
So it's an extra. I mean, my kids go there too. They love it. It's a great program. Yes, I think it's totally cheap and affordable, not cheap. It's affordable for what you're getting and stuff. But so I just want to be clear. The extra. So it's basically an extra $5,000 towards summer playground because there's about 100 kids. Mm-hmm. So is the whole $5,000 going to salaries to the 4 people?
It's going to be salary and for more extracurricular. So last year we got balloons and the glow stick. They have a plan. They want to get more stuff to do with the kids. So each day it's something different, and that also includes for Kona that's in there. That's also for watermelon and for water and for snacks because a lot of kids also don't bring snacks. And the other thing too, even if it goes till 12:30, the school is also planning to do a sports camp. That doesn't mean the teachers are going to leave at 12:30 because that's not going to start until 1 o'clock. Mr. R is planning to start. He's I'll come at 12:30, but they're still going to stay there and wait to make sure that all the kids are gone because it's technically still their responsibility until the summer sports camp starts.
What are you paying, by the way? What's the director getting, and what is a?
So it would be 25
an hour.
25 an hour for the assistants and 30 for the director, for the one director.
Okay. And what were you paying?
16 and 19.
And they still did it.
But they weren't going to come back. I really had to beg them. Even now, I even said to them, I'm hoping that we can pass this so that they can come back.
You did the right thing, and thank you, by the way, for coming to us. I just wanted to be able to explain to folks.
Yeah, no.
Because I'm not part of that committee anymore, so we put Al on the spot, but
That's it, yep.
he didn't have those answers. So.
Not a salesperson.
I have a question also.
Yeah.
If there are, because I'm sure that there are some families out there that it would be a hardship, even though I'll age myself and say when my kids went, I think it was $25 way back in the day, and we were always we don't understand how you can operate it for that price. But if there's a true hardship for some families, could you look into maybe doing some kind of scholarship program?
Well, I don't think it's up to me. I think it would be up to the town.
Like,
to decide.
could
Well,
we
so
do
is there any cushion there? Maybe we're not asking a question right. Is there any cushion that if somebody just can't swing the 150, they're budgeted for 100? Is there any cushion that you could waive to somebody waive the $50 based on somebody's judgment in your committee?
I think so. I would have to bring it back to the committee. I don't want to just
Okay.
decide and say yes. You know,
Okay.
because
Now
everybody
we're
can
on
say,
spot.
well,
Right.
$100.
Right.
That's all I
I
can
know.
afford. Like I think
Right.
Everybody else
I
up
know-
and say they
I
can
know
only.
it gets,
Type
it
of
gets,
criteria.
it gets, yeah,
Yeah,
it
you
gets
know.
funny and complicated. I just know a camp, a summer camp that I was on the board with for years, like we always had for, you know, if someone, and you had a show that you had a financial hardship, but we had, you know, scholarship programs set up for kids, you know, so they could have the experience. I don't know if that's just like too wild and crazy for something
Well, the
this
other
small.
challenge with that too is we turn away kids for this program. So there's a cap at 100, and there's, you know, we always have well more than 100 that would like to come, and we turn people away. So I think
Yeah.
it's definitely something that the committee would be open to discussing, but it would definitely have to have some parameters to it. Yeah.
If we got more directors or more teachers, could we have more kids?
we could, but it just changes the budget. Then there's less money to get items
Gotcha.
for them.
I would, because
We could, because I know last year we did cap it at
Yes.
100 and we ended up having 115. And I feel like, you know, I think at the end they'll come into Linda. I'm like, okay, fine. You know, we just want people to just come in.
And that
I'm
was-
not gonna
I know.
like say no. I know it's just like the ratio, and the teachers are like,
Yeah.
you know, really it's like a safety thing because we want
Yeah.
to make sure that we're
Right.
accountable for all the kids and stuff. And if the kids are older, it's a little bit different. It's really for like the younger kids because they
Plus-
do need a lot of attention.
Right.
Not everyone shows up every day.
Right.
Exactly.
That was
That's
exactly
the
what I
other
had too,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, so the numbers are probably pretty
Exactly.
safe.
Could always look into that for 2025,
Mm-hmm.
including, you know, a scholarship fund or
Yeah.
some kind of fund to assist others.
And like Stephanie said, the rate was really low for a really long time.
Yeah.
You know, I don't anticipate if I'm still on the committee next year not to increase. I think now it's pretty comparable.
Well, $30 starts to be fair to do that, and 25 is pretty fair, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
See,
we're not
for
looking
baby-
to up it every year. It's just I
Yeah.
think it's been so backlogged and so
Yeah.
underpaid for so long that now the option that our committee had was we may not be able to run the program at all because we're not going to have the staff,
I
or
get
we have
it,
to figure
yeah.
something
Yeah.
out.
Even high schoolers for like babysitting. Like my person charges $28. You know, they're sitting there while my kids are sleeping. You know, they're not running around in the dead heat of summer. So, and these are like teachers, like older.
I gotta give hazmat pay because my daughter locks them out, so I gotta pay extra.
See?
Okay.
Any
Thank you
other
very much.
questions of
No.
our guests here?
No, but I do want to, I personally thank Stephanie and Natalie for coming tonight because I know both your husbands are serving our community as a Board of
I
Ed
know,
member
like,
right now.
trying-
I know, so I know this is a hardship because you both have young
Yeah.
kids and it's a lot, so thank you both for making the effort to be here. I know I know it's a struggle, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Had Al
Also, I'm
been
paying
prepared.
$28 an hour.
And
Yeah.
that's
Go, I'm getting slammed even now.
If Al was prepared, you might not have to be here. You know, that's all I'm saying.
All right, well, I'll
Thank you,
entertain a
ladies.
motion.
Thank
I
you very
appreciate
much.
it
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. I'll entertain anyone who would like to make a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Oh, I'm sorry, let's do
Go
the, I'm
ahead.
sorry, public hearing.
Oh, sorry.
Let me ask first, sorry, Jenny, you're gonna.
No, I'm sorry.
So public hearing, so we're opened up comment to the public. Francis, I guess that's you.
Yes.
There's other people. And this is more of a question for Frank. Recognizing that there may be people in a situation needing some help, especially if they have more than one kid. I don't know if it's 150 per kid. I'd be willing to donate $500 as a scholarship fund, and there might be other people who would, so that resident children could have a positive opportunity. I don't know how you do it. I'm not looking for a tax deduction. You know, pay it forward, and I suspect other people might choose to help folks. Just
Yep,
that.
That's very generous.
very
Thank you.
generous.
Francis.
thought.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make it out to Linda, huh?
Yeah.
We should make the check out the cash.
To Mike
challenge
Dendis?
is
No.
always, the challenge is always how do you,
Zero.
you have to come up with a uniform way of evaluating, or you do a lottery, or you do
Yeah.
something, because that's gonna be the criticism, but it's always
Well, if somebody
appreciated.
applies for it, and then there's a lottery, and then you know, let's come back and hit the well again. Wink, wink, nod, nod, doesn't matter, I'm just saying that, you know, I can give you the $500 for that. And I suspect
That essentially
other
sends
people
3
would.
kids to camp for free, which is incredibly generous.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's very generous. Thank you for that. And I mean, I'm sure, Stephanie and Natalie will let us know if there's some need out there, and we can address it. So,
Worst case scenario, if it goes, then they can be sitting in a pool for the auditors to question next year, or for something else.
I mean, I suspect you can make a contribution of, if they don't need the money for the camp, maybe have a Francis Pizza Day or something, buy pizza, like you could probably do that.
yeah, that's right, exactly.
Free manure. Well rotted black gold. It's darker than your T-shirt.
All right, well, thank you,
Yeah, I
Francis.
think you can probably work it
That's
out with the
what I
girls,
thought.
possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk with them, and
cover an
they'll
expense
keep
for
us in
them.
the loop if
Right,
there's
so
any
put it in the
need.
general fund and cover the expenses.
Okay,
or something like that, you know.
would anyone like to make a motion?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
we're closed to the public, right?
Oh,
There's
was
no
that
one
for
else?
the whole public, or was it just for this?
That was just for
For
this
this.
item.
Just for this item?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, no.
Okay, so we're, without objection, we're closed to the public.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay,
Second?
all right. Any further discussion? No?
Let me do a roll call.
Okay, roll
Um,
call.
Ms. Casper Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Endon,
Yes.
Mr. Nardi.
Yes.
Mr. Dendis.
Yes.
Mayor DePiero.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you both. Thanks for coming. Thanks for
Yes,
your
thank
work.
Thanks,
you.
ladies. Have a great night.
Appreciate. Okay, so we're up to item 11, ordinance number 24-03 for second reading.
An ordinance of the Township of East Amwell, County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, amending and modifying Chapter 92, Section 98, entitled Minimum Off-Street Parking Requirements, and Section 99, entitled Minimum Off-Street Loading Requirements.
Okay, so just in general, folks will remember that this ordinance, it was a recommendation of the planning board to remove sections of the code because some of the uses that were noted in the ordinance are not permitted uses, and we want to keep it rural here. We want to make sure that our ordinances are clear so that we don't get development squeezed in unintentionally. Al, did you want to mention anything? I know you were.
Yeah, I mean, this subcommittee worked hard on this. Again, I'll thank the planning board for last year. I think we did a great job keeping it rural. These are some high-level items that we just knocked out, short and sweet, and I'd like to just move forward and vote on it.
All right, excellent. So we're open to the public. Anyone have a comment on this ordinance? Okay, hearing none, without objection, we're closed to the public. I need a motion to adopt the ordinance 2403.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, we do a roll call, Linda?
Ms. Casper Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Enton,
Yes.
Mr. Nardi,
Yes.
Mr. Dendis,
Yes.
Mayor DePiero.
Yes, and again, just as a final capstone, I think it's so important that we keep our ordinances clear and clean so that we are able to regulate the type of character that we want. We want a rural community. This will achieve that, so thank you, everyone. Okay, item 12, ordinance number 24-04, first reading.
An ordinance to revise standards governing lighting by amending Article 6? To design and performance standards and corresponding references in Article 3, definitions within Chapter 92, Land Management of the Code of East Amwell Township.
Okay, so this is just for first reading introduction. By way of explanation, the purpose behind this ordinance is that it would make revisions to the lighting design practices. This is a recommendation of last year's planning board. By way of background, Marnie Stetson, the vice chair of the 2023 planning board, among other times, was the major drafter of the proposed ordinance, and she's graciously agreed to attend the meeting today to provide some explanations about why the planning board felt that this was important, and what some of the key provisions are, and the philosophy behind it. So Marnie, welcome, and thank you for your work on this and for coming today.
Sure. So East Amwell does and did have a strong lighting ordinance, a very strong, according to the people that we talked about. But what came to our attention over the course of the master plan re-exam, actually in large part thanks to Francis, was that there was a possibility that we could have a commercial-sized greenhouse come in and be able to run their lights 24/7. And because of the way our ordinance had been drafted, it wasn't entirely clear that that would be prohibited. So that was the original impetus for taking a look at our lighting ordinance. In addition, since that was drafted, there's been a lot more research about the detrimental impacts of nighttime lighting on primarily birds and insects and biodiversity, across the country. And so those best practices, we also included those in the draft revisions. But what I want to start with is what it does not change, what it does not impact. So one thing it does not impact is seasonal holiday lightings. I know people were worried about their Christmas decorations. Christmas decorations are safe. They're excluded from the lighting ordinance. It does not impact security lighting. And it does not require a change to residents. So the changes are mostly for businesses and to incorporate these greenhouses, to keep 24-hour greenhouses. It also, when an application comes to the planning board, a lighting plan will be reviewed by the planning board. So it has the ability to impact residential lighting in the future, but it's not going to put any kind of burden on any existing home. There is language in there encouraging people to transition towards motion detectors and things like that, but if you have a light on your porch that is properly angled downward and doesn't reflect on anyone else's property, this ordinance does not change that. And that's, and the other very minor, the Illuminating Engineering Society is the society that comes up with the standards for lighting, and we sort of had a static provision in there, and those standards have been updated. So this draft ordinance would now, be updated whenever the Illuminating Engineering Society updates their standards. But again, this would be on new things. It doesn't retroactively, it's not going to retroactively apply to my home. And then the final thing I would say is we actually, in East Amwell, have a dark sky expert. I mean, for all I know, we have more than one, but there is a resident who worked on a documentary for the Princeton Green Team. His name's Jared Flesher. It's a documentary about dark skies. And I think part of the impetus, some of the language that's included in this provision is aspirational and in the hopes of educating people about the harms that nighttime lighting creates. So I would sort of just encourage either the Township Committee or the Environmental Commission to join forces with him to try and, create some kind of educational opportunity. Because I think he'd be a great resource, and I think most people here like to be able to see the stars, so I think there's room to improve our education.
Thank you. That was a really excellent presentation and summary. I think it was really helpful. Questions from folks?
You answered everything I was going to ask. I was concerned about like traditional house lighting, people that keep their porch lights on and things like that. I mean, I've been hearing about dark sky ordinance. This is different than the dark sky ordinance, I assume, right?
Well, it is a dark sky, but it's not, there are times when you can have lighting.
Right.
So it's not, no lights, except between 11 and 5 in greenhouses and businesses.
Do we have anything like that now that's...
We
don't
do,
have
but this is a kind of a fine tuning. And
we have a business like a greenhouse now that's using lighting 24/7.
No.
Like that. Yeah.
No.
Unfortunately, we don't, but there
I didn't
are
think there
towns
was.
that have
Yeah.
those, and either just like a glowing,
Right.
illuminating thing, and if you have it in a field somewhere, it really goes well.
Right.
And there has been interest
Okay.
in.
Okay.
But it would still have to go to the planning board and everything, right?
Yes.
The greenhouse stuff. So I mean, it's not like this is not the only
But the,
stop guard.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
true. And
Yeah.
I think the point that Marnie was making rightly is that if it goes to the planning board, then they can
Mhm.
use this as a standard, which is significant.
And if it is a greenhouse proposal that goes to the planning board, if you have an ordinance that says we don't want that, the planning board is in a much more solid position to.
Is this,
Absolutely.
would this, what language am I looking for? Would this, something like this typically upheld by a court? Because it seems like it does target
Yeah.
one type of business. What about,
Oh, so that is a
Yeah, no.
I haven't explained that
It's
accurately.
not targeted to just one use.
okay,
It's-
I haven't read the whole, I'm listening
Yeah,
to
but it's a
summary,
good question, Mia, Marnie.
No, it's an excellent question. It's just in the definition of what it applied to, it did not include that kind of structure.
Understood.
So you could, because the ordinance is a little more lenient in an agricultural setting, we wanted to make sure that the commercial greenhouse was clearly in the commercial business
Understood.
category.
There are more draconian white ordinances out there.
That's
So this
something
is
like
not-
this.
This is not as draconian as some of them, so it's been
And they
sought.
stand the test of time usually?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, if
I
it's-
still have some questions though.
Please, no, yeah.
Yeah, because when I first read this, my first thought was, what is the problem that we're trying to fix? And, you mentioned the greenhouses, and you said it doesn't include existing residents and it's new. And we'll go back and read the full, because it looked to me like it was, it would impact everyone. And I have to say, I think we do a great job with light pollution here. We have friends come to our house, they get out of their car and look up and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe how dark the sky is and how many, how many stars there are out here. But I still feel a little uncomfortable with the residential piece because.
There's no change to the residential piece. The statute as it exists, that we'd made no changes to the residential part of it.
How do you address that then? So someone new moves in and they have lights and their neighbor is essentially grandfathered in, they're not, like, do you then have light wars and
No,
it's
So what would happen is you would come, if you were building and didn't have to come to the planning board, there would be no impact. But if you had to come to the planning board, it would be a discussion about, have you considered, on your porch having a motion detector or, but it's not, in a residential home, it's not going to put any standards.
But is that new build or is that someone sells their house and then the new
No,
resident
new
comes in
build.
and has to?
New build.
So it's for new
If you're
build.
just selling your house, unless you're making some pretty drastic, doing something that would require you to come to the planning board, which would be unlikely.
And I saw some of the language when it talked about Christmas lights were okay, but then there was a section where it said, moving lights, rotating lights, and I know some of the Christmas displays nowadays, I happen not to be a fan of them, but some of them are those moving graphics.
So,
Is that something that's covered or not covered? Is someone gonna go knock on someone's door and say, shut off your lights?
so even Christmas lights cannot be shining off your property line. So they have, I think the concern about the Christmas lights is sort of the 11 to 5 cutoff. Maybe they don't, maybe you can keep them on all night or whatever it is. But even Christmas lights, the restrictions on, shining up into the, onto your neighbor's property.
Yes.
Has existed since, I think, 2006, maybe, I'm not
Right,
sure.
the light trespass
Right.
is a good
Right,
regulation.
so that's unchanged by this ordinance. by
And
these
what about
revisions.
things like, the East Elmwood School, the soccer fields, and the municipal fields, those lights,
Yeah, they
I
can-
know people aren't.
Under the current regs, they cannot be on between 11 and 5.
Right, but they still, are they shielded? Would they comply with these regulations, or
They
are
wouldn't-
they essentially grandfathered in?
We didn't do anything to recreational lighting, whatever ordinance however they were regulated before is how they're regulated under this
Because I
ordinance.
thought this was anything on a pole over 25 feet, and I don't
That's
know
the
how high
existing,
those
that's the
are.
existing ordinance. So
So
these changes don't change what was already in place. So if those fields are in compliance, if they're in compliance today, and this legislation, this ordinance passes, they will still be in compliance. I don't know whether they are, I had little to do with enforcement of the lighting ordinance.
And then how does it impact farms? Are the farms, we're not gonna have to go out to the farmers and say, you have lights here and there, and they're also covered unless there's a new farm or new construction?
If I had to guess, I would imagine there are some lighting on some farms that doesn't comply with this ordinance. As it exists now, these changes don't impact agricultural use.
But will there be more enforcement?
Well, that's up to you.
With this?
Yeah, so that, I mean, enforcement's a different issue, and frankly, our view of enforcement on issues like this is where if a neighbor has a problem because of lights that are focusing straight into the neighbor's house, then that's a discussion that our, zoning officer can have with them to encourage them to face them down to do something. So our idea, just to be clear, is, we're not gonna have any, overly strict enforcement. The idea is, I think as Marnie said, to educate people of the importance of this, not only for respect for neighbors, but for being able to see the light, see the skies, and to do all the good environmental things that come with that, not to just fill up this summons book. It's really about education
And that I would say those are all really good questions, but they're not in play from these changes to the ordinance. Like, all of the things that you're asking, they exist. Those questions are questions right now.
Right, in
the absence of these changes.
And I read these changes last night sitting on my couch. So I want to, before next month, I'm gonna go back and read the full ordinance, just to make sure that I have a good understanding of it.
Yeah,
But I appreciate your explanations.
Yeah, I know you spent a lot of time with it, so I really appreciate that you came to explain it, because I know I couldn't have figured out.
Well, I had to remember everything.
Yeah, well, you did a good job with that.
I appreciate it too, Marty. Thank you for,
No, you're
and
welcome.
the
Very
effort
much.
looks like it's pointed in the right direction, so I think that, like Bev, I gotta read through it, but
Yeah,
it
well,
sounds
and
like
hopefully,
it's
I'm hopeful.
something, that's helpful for East Amwell, so.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that next month, people that are more expert than I will read it and I'm quite confident there are probably ways that it could be improved. So I hope you do hear from people, and I'm sure there are improvements that can be made, so.
No, that's-
Right, and whenever you're dealing with something that the appearance is we're doing more regulation on lighting issues, so I think to the general public, it raises the question of, well, why are we being so restrictive? Why can't you just leave us alone? And, unfortunately, we're the people who get the phone calls and go door to door and speak with people. So I feel like I have to be able to, if someone says, what the heck is going on with this, I need to be able to fully understand it so I can respond to their concerns. And again, you don't get the full picture when you're just reading that changes.
Right.
Can I don't know if you're gonna know this or not, but
Why not?
I know, no, but I'm just curious, and maybe because of how the lighting is. So the school and the firehouse has those lighted signs in front. Does that not apply because they're like a certain type of light, or?
I don't know for sure,
Okay.
but my gut is that, so throughout the existing ordinance, and we don't change it, this doesn't change it, security is, I don't know if exempt is the right word, but it does not apply to security lighting. So my guess is that a firehouse and a school,
Gotcha.
that's considered security lighting.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
And that's maybe something your zoning officer decides, or Frank decides.
I had sent out a version of our code as it exists with the new changes. I don't know, I think that was about a month or so ago, Dante. I'll resend that out to everyone so you can compare. Actually, by contrast.
Yeah, that's good.
There are a couple things that are being added here specifically, we have a lighting ordinance, we have
Mhm.
standards, so I'll, side by side, probably better to look, so you can look at them.
Yeah, I think that's helpful, and I think the other thing that I would note is what you got and what we looked at and released, that wasn't just the changes, right? That's the new version, and so, as
Yes.
Marnie's explaining, all the residual stuff is the same, and so I guess if you looked at what Frank has, that might show you the actual sort of red line changes.
Yeah, there is somewhere floating around a redlined version, which I think would be very helpful to what you're saying.
Right.
So anything further,
Nope.
Marnie? Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
for
Marnie.
coming.
Thank you.
We might tap you next month if folks have questions. Okay.
Again, thank you for all your hard,
We'll get an audio recording of what you said.
and Marnie, thank you again for all your hard work on the planning board.
Thank you.
All right, since Francis has a question, we'll just go out of order.
No, I
Please.
have an answer for
Sure.
Jenna.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I was here when they were putting in the school lights. The school is exempt. They can do what they want to do, and there's not a whole lot that the town can do about how they construct things or do their budgets. If they stay under their cap, you don't have to vote on things.
That's true.
But, you know, the people that were near the lights, outside lights, were not happy, but there wasn't much that could be done. The school did try to work with people, but, you know, it's not in your yard to control it. The school is its own entity.
Got it.
Just trying to answer a question.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks for the input. Okay, does someone want to make a motion to introduce this? And we obviously will have time before next month.
Yep, I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
I can second it.
Okay, is this a voice vote?
You don't need a roll call
Okay,
for.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No one?
Nay.
Says nay. One nay. Abstentions? None. Okay. So motion passes as introduction, and again, we'll get more information. Folks that have comments or concerns, please let us know. And I think Bev was also had offered before the meeting, she's going to do some more investigation, so thank you for that. Having all the data is a good thing, so thank you. Okay, item 13, consent agenda. Yeah, okay, so resolutions 2024-51 through resolution 2024-54 is filed with the clerk. May I have a motion to approve said resolutions, consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion, questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Ms.
Opposed?
Whoops.
Oh, we'll go through this first. Any opposed? None? Abstention? None. Okay, roll call.
Ms. Casper Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Enton?
Yes.
Mr. Nardi?
Yes.
Mr. Dendis?
Yes.
Mayor DePiero?
Yes. Let me just mention one thing on 2024-51, appointment of stormwater coordinator. So appointment of Michelle Hovan. She's of Stormwater Compliance Solutions. Mike Dennis and I have been working with that consultant that we have. And so far we've been very pleased with the assistance. They're helping us to stay in compliance with all of the regulations we're getting from the state on stormwater. Which has been very beneficial. When this issue came up of us having to appoint a coordinator, essentially a coordinator is one that makes sure that we are aware of the items that we need to do during the year to stay in compliance, and then does an end-of-year report. When that came to our attention, we reached out and spoke with Michelle because she's been so helpful already, and she's able to provide this, and there's not a cost associated with the service. So just wanted to explain how that works to folks and the good results we've been getting so far. I don't know, Mike, if you want to say anything.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, she's incredibly responsive, incredibly well written when she returns an email, and it's been very helpful to me. The cost is covered out of the grant, and if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we have to have her or somebody like her because of the upgrade in the tier 1 to tier 2 to tier
Correct.
1. The grant covers her costs next year. I think she did tell us that in 2025 we'd probably have to prepare to budget something. It was not a large number, but it was a number. And then she reminded us about upgrading a tree ordinance, which that's on our radar, I hope, because there's a
Yes.
deadline on something like that.
Yes, we're starting to work on that.
Okay, but she's been very responsive and helpful, so we appreciate her work for sure.
Agreed. Okay, any new business from anyone, item 14? Okay, moving on, item 15, approval of the bills. May I have a motion to approve the March 14th, 2024 bills of the evening?
So moved.
Second? Anyone?
Second.
All right, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one, abstention? None.
Ms. Casper Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Enton?
Yes.
Mr. Nardi?
Yes.
Mr. Dendis?
Yes.
Mayor DePiero?
Yes. Okay. Approval of administrative reports. Do we need a motion for that?
No,
Okay.
we should have a zoning report next month.
Yeah.
Yay, that will be great.
That'd
We
be
haven't
exciting.
had any zoning reports during our tenure with West Amwell, so now we've got our own. So maybe that's a good time for me just to give a quick update. So Tammy Shimone is on the job. She's had a couple of evening hours for residents already. I observed that there's some pent-up demand, I think, because we're getting better service now. So a number of residents have been in to see her. Personally, I'm pleased with how she's gotten right into the job. She's not only helping residents, but she is reviewing our zoning ordinances and has already seen a number of instances where the ordinances may have some ambiguity or may benefit from some more specific language. So we will be queuing those up. As with all ordinances in law, you need to have it clear, you need to have it enforceable, makes for good understanding, makes it good for government if we need to enforce something. So I appreciate her work on that, and it's been a good development so far. I hope residents are appreciative as well so far.
May I add? So I spent Tuesday night here because, of course, I had nothing better to do. I met the new zoning officer, incredibly helpful, polite, knowledgeable. The 2 hours I was here, we could have probably used 2 more of her. There was that many residents that most of them happened to know me prior to this, believe it or not.
Were they
Jenna.
complaining about you? Yeah.
They were, believe it or not. They were very complimentary to her and had expressed some dissatisfaction with results in the past. So I thought that this is a positive thing for East Amwell. She shared the concerns about the ordinances that she said you're already working on with her, which is helpful. But she had a good demeanor with the public. She's definitely a public-facing public servant for sure. So I think that's good.
Excellent. Well, thanks for rounding out that picture. I'm very appreciative so far. Anyone else? Okay. Correspondence. Everyone has seen. Open to the public. Anyone? Yes, Marnie.
I just have a quick question, and I'm not sure you're going to be able to answer it, and that's okay. Just thinking about the Rainbow Hill Preserve and the parking and moving the parking. When it was opened, I was surprised because at the time I was on both the planning board and the environmental commission and didn't know about it. But so now I'm wondering if they're moving the parking from from North Hill to Wards Hill. Don't they need to come to the planning board to get permits for the parking? To put in the
Not to my knowledge.
Why would that be?
County road,
Yeah, but
you might want to ask them.
I mean,
What-
if I want to put parking on my farm, I have to come tell you guys, the planning board.
Well, well, this is just me off the top of my head, but if you're putting a driveway and you need a driveway permit, they
Right.
don't need a driveway, so I don't know that they do.
So, and it's just going on, they're not expanding the driveway at
No.
all for parking? Okay.
No.
But they did expand on North Hill Road.
That already existed as well.
No, but they made it bigger.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, so that's my question. And-
Your question is something though that I've heard quite a bit. Did they ever come before the township? And it doesn't.
No, they definitely did not.
It appears that they.
No.
No, they didn't,
Yeah,
because
I
I
mean,
was, Yeah.
The legal folks can comment, but I don't think they have to, because they never came in front of this committee and prior committees or the planning board, from your knowledge.
Right.
No.
So it doesn't appear they have to.
I'm not aware of it, but
Well,
Yeah.
maybe the new zoning officer can look into that.
thank you
That's
for
a
your
good
comments.
question.
It is a comic, I've heard it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a
You
good
know,
question.
How did it happen? And I'm like, I don't know, we weren't part of it. So,
Francis?
I'm getting there.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't rushing you. I just had a strong inkling that you might want to say something.
No, believe me, I don't want to, but part of being old and having thing. A little bit of history. Some of you were here. JCP&L will send a representative here to answer and face the public with their complaints. I gave them a complaint. They not only came out to see the tree that they infected with stuff and killed, but they took it down and stacked up the lumber. The squeaky wheel can get grease. So there is a methodology that Linda could probably look up or something for how there is a representative that can communicate. And most of the noise I've heard, and I've seen it elsewhere, people want to vent at somebody. Better JCP&L than you guys. The second thing is you're not, it's not really applicable to us, but it's a good thing that we did not opt into the marijuana thing, because West Amwell's been hit with another civil suit, and it has to do with the way that they approved their ordinances or didn't, and notification. There was a problem a few years ago when they were changing the zoning here, where people in Raritan weren't noticed, but also, so the way it may go down, because I saw the suit last night, like, oh, good lawyer. It could be open season in West Amwell. Only thing that's relevant is they're across the street from us. So, and the parking and things like that. The guy wants to grow pot outside, a micro growing operation, which is 25,000 square feet that do that. Anyway, the one thing coming with the fires and things like that is, you know, there are a lot of trees that have come down. There are a lot of trees who have been cut down, and there's a lot of debris and brush just laying there next to the roads. There's no water on the mountain. There's nobody seeming to have any interest, and there is an incredible fuel load on that mountain that could burn that whole area out with one wire down or somebody having a thing. So trying to come up or get a grant or whatever to at least get the stuff out with volunteers or something might be worth looking into, because you want to protect what's left of the forest that's up there. The other thing is, when you commented on, oh, you're going to be getting a zoning report, you are entitled, I believe by law, that a zoning office and municipal, West Amwell essentially, they have a requirement, the Gale Brewery and them are supposed to issue an annual report. East Amwell, having contracted with shared services, is entitled to an annual report to know what was taken in on fees that they kept, how many applications were there, and that information could be useful to you in deciding what do you want to do next year when the shared services is over, because you may be leaving as much as $100,000 on the table that could go a long way towards some other kinds of things. And I could file a Oprah request, but they'd blow me off too. They might not be so inclined if mayor to mayor or someone municipality to municipality asked about it, and you can ask your zoning officer about that, because the zoning reports that get done how many not only just with planning board things and variances and things, they drive how you react to and you modify your land use law. If you say, okay, go ahead, and you do things on a regular basis that are not compliant with your master plan or with your ordinances, and you give a lot of variances, then you're weakening your land use and things like that. And just something to look into. And DCA, Hopewell and some other places that are using DCA, the state people, to do the inspections, they're pretty happy with them. So there may be a mechanism to have your zoning officer here and come up with some way of getting some extra staffing or something here to do the administrative process, that you don't have to shut down the building for a day. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Seeing no other member of the public, without objection, we're closed to the public at this point. Let me just say for residents, I did request a year-end report from West Amwell in December because we're coming up to the end-of-year date, and was told that their auditors need to finish the review of their books before they can provide that. They estimated that they would be able to have the report in March, so I'm still on that. I intend to get a full report of both the work done by West Amwell for construction and zoning during 2023, which is our right pursuant to the shared services contracts that we have and have had with respect to the zoning officer. So it's a good point that we should look into it, and that will be coming. We've made the request already. Thank you.
And just in reference to budget items, not with the township, but the Board of Ed meeting tonight was the preliminary budget hearing. So there should be a prelim budget for our school our school budget and everything, which is at least 3 times more than the township budget. So if people want to check it out and look into it, it should be online shortly, I would assume.
Thank you, Jenna. That's helpful.
No problem.
Any other business from anyone tonight? Okay, seeing no more business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Sorry.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'm ahead.
Okay, thank you all. Thanks for the night,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys.
Thank you.
Frank.
6 o'clock Saturday.